Yo, what's good? It's Mr. Recently, if you've been following Dragon Age of Veilguard like at all, then you've already seen by now that an embargo has been lifted for the game, meaning that press, media, and content creators who got to play an extended preview of the game are now able to publish their thoughts on what they played and give their feedback, both good and bad. Disclaimer, I myself did not get early access to play the game, but I'm more than happy for those that did though. And with that being said, I got a message for the Dragon Age community as it pertains to Veilguard, addressing several different camps here within. First, those that have been mostly positive towards the game. Second, the on the fence or like undecided people. And lastly, a combination of the overly hateful / negative crowd and those that simply don't like the game so far. There's kind of 2 in 1 in that one, right? So first, let me address the part of the community that's eagerly anticipating the game. Those have been, overall positive and have been watching the game closely, just counting the days till it comes out. This is probably the part of the group that I'm with, right? If you're excited for the game, be unapologetically so. Don't let these detractors get you down or make you feel like you need to be excited in silence for fear of trolls and naysayers finding your post. We got your back, I'm telling you. No, instead, be loud if you want. Post about the game if that's what you want to do, and be bold with it, because misery loves company and you just can't pay it any mind, as that's exactly what it wants. But fret not, I will address those that have been what I consider to be like unfairly or overly negative towards the game later on. I'm going to get to them. Now, for us, let's not be completely blinded ourselves either. Let's judge a game fairly and be ready to call out what we feel are, its faults, just as much as we're prepared to sing its praises. We got to be fair, right? No game is above criticism and no game will ever be perfect. But it's completely valid to see all the pre-release media surrounding Veilguard and ended up getting excited, because I know I am. I'm mad excited for this game. And I say that as someone who was heavily skeptical at first. I was cautiously optimistic, to say the least. But don't let these disgruntled Origins fans, again, not all of the Origins fans, right? I'm not saying that, just the extremely vocal and overly negative ones that are hyper resistant to change, get you down. I promise you, they are simply, few and loud. And again, just wanting to drag others down with them in their misery. Hell, some of these trolls might not have even played Dragon Age before and are just being hateful for the hell of it, right? Inquisition is the best selling of all the Dragon Age games, and fans who are down to see the series evolve over time while still keeping the DNA of what makes these games awesome have been along for the ride even after Origins and are loving it. Like, the story after the first game has still been spectacular in both 2 and especially Inquisition. By all accounts, I'm excited as well as hopeful that Veilguard will continue that trend. Based on what's being said about the game already pre-release, I think there's a pretty good chance that it will, as well as just being a dope game in general. I'm here to reinforce your hype, okay? There's a lot that's come out even prior to the embargo lifting alone to get excited about, like the various deep dives, we got gameplay previews and trailers. I can admit that there's a lot that we've already been shown to just get like mind-blowingly hyped for, right? Like I said, I was skeptical at first, but BioWare have honestly done a really good job. I give them mad props for this. They've done a really good job to turn around my impressions personally. The more of the game that they showed, the more that some of that, cautious optimism has faded away. And I'm like, okay, this can actually be pretty damn good. But thanks to some of the videos, previews / overviews and opinions we've seen come out after the embargo lifted from those that have played the game, it makes all the more sense now more than ever for hype levels to be through the roof. I mean, let's just take a brief look. I'm just going to go through a few things, right? Just a brief look at some things that people are reporting from their play sessions. Just no particular order, just a few, not a whole lot, not everything, right? First, character creator is said to be insanely robust. Like, more options than we could possibly know what to do with. All right. I think about like 2 hours on average creating each of my characters individually for each of my individual runs in Baldur's Gate 3. So I can't imagine how long it's gonna take me to make a character in this game. I love it, right? We already saw as such, but many people have heavily emphasized that there will be plenty of choices to make narratively. They matter and they're intense and heavy, right? The story is apparently very much intertwined with the past games and Thetis' lore overall. Great, we love to see it. The world design is said to feel like a mix of all three previous games put together. And in general, it seems like BioWare has learned from the successes and shortcomings of all three of the previous Dragon Age games and put that knowledge to good use in Veilguard. There was a lot of love shown for the companions. People overall really seem to love their personality as well as interacting with them. Here's hoping that this could be the best crew of companions. Yeah, I love the previous companions, but I want each game, of course, to be better than the last. So let's hope this is the best group, right? Combat is getting astounding praise. It's said to have weight and impact while just being insanely fun, but also crunchy yet strategic, with a lot to do and interact with in terms of how you specifically build your character. The game is set to look incredible and run very well, although me personally, I'm waiting specifically to see if some of the lip syncing and a few of those weird facial expressions that we saw here and there, not always, but here and there in cutscenes, I'm waiting to see if that gets ironed out from the preview build in time for full release. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Plenty of creators and media got their hands on the game early, and there's so much info out there regarding their time with the game. Almost everything I saw was overwhelmingly positive, with, of course, some fair criticisms here and there sprinkled in. It wasn't like entirely positive. It wasn't like, oh my god, they're every single person that played the game is shilling. Maybe there might be a few, I don't know, but everyone, like, no. There was definitely a mostly good, but a few complaints here and there, right? So of course it makes sense to be as excited as you are, right? I mean, we got some people saying that BioWare is officially back at their most confident, and that Veilguard is a game of the year contender. Like, yes, pop off. That's amazing. As RPG lovers, we want good games, so don't let anybody dim your light. My advice for fellow Dragon Age fans, simply enjoy the game. If you're hyped up, then be hyped up and engage with others that are as well. Don't interact with trolls or detractors who are just looking for any reason to hate on this game, whether it be the result of misremembered nostalgia or just outright wrong information. Me personally, my block game has been very strong, okay? My block list is long, okay? Don't play with it. I've been engaging with people and other fans who legit seem interested in having a discussion, even if they have points about the games, points about Veilguard that concern them, or maybe they got fair criticisms that I personally may not agree with, and that's fine, that's cool. I don't mind chatting with them at all. But with some of these, disingenuous or unfair folk, or people that are just outright hateful, disrespectful, or worse, just block them and keep it moving. You'll be happier once you do, I promise. It's your internet experience, so cultivate it to your liking, and remember that they feed off of your engagement, especially on Twitter, where they can actually get paid for engagement farming or rage baiting. So just don't react with them, as it only helps them. Even if they don't get paid, some simply enjoy ruining things for others, or trying to keep people as miserable as they are. So why even give them the chance to? Why let them, right? I want to really specify, by the way, I really want to pinpoint this specific thing, as I try my hardest in these videos not to be misunderstood. I want to emphasize, all right, I'm not advocating for blocking every single person on all socials who disagrees with you that Veilguard either looks like it'll be a good game or is a good game. I'm cool with having that discussion and exchanging opinions in a civil way. I'm not trying to say, create an echo chamber for yourself or nothing like that. I'm simply talking about those that have been combative to the point of insinuating that anybody who likes the game is a paid shill, and those that are hyped don't represent true Dragon Age fans. Something to that effect, right? Including, again, all the way up to full-on hate. It's pointless to interact with that crowd specifically. So me personally, my advice is, again, to block, ignore, and keep it pushing. I'm hopeful, however, and very hyped up when it comes to Veilguard, but they haven't won me over 100%. Not just yet, BioWare. I gotta play it and review it for myself. And I hope that even my fellow DA fans on the more positive side of things, you know what I'm saying, people that are actually excited for Veilguard, I hope they feel the same way too, in spite of all the excitement. We're heavily anticipating this game, but nevertheless, I'm expecting us to be fair with it. Now, for those of y'all that are undecided or on the fence when it comes to Veilguard, while still being polite and respectful to others while in discussions online surrounding the game, you know, not trying to rain on anyone's parade who might just happen to be anticipating Veilguard, or maybe even just keeping things to yourself and hanging out until the game comes out to judge it for yourself, I say congratulations for staying level-headed and reserved, which seems like a hell of a feat for some reason in today's gaming landscape. I don't know why it's such a big deal, why it's so rare, but hey, it is. I will point out that while I tend to try to debunk criticisms of Veilguard and the other Dragon Age sequels that lean more into the objective aspect of things, plenty of what's going on with this newest entry with Veilguard is subjective as to whether you like it or not. And that's completely fair. I've time and time again tried to make the point that I'm not saying that you can't critique what we've been shown of the game thus far, and that you can't point out as of right now that it seems like the game isn't for you. That's cool. You can do that. I'm not trying to say that you can't. That's cool. Like, you don't have to enjoy this game. You don't have to like this game based on what we've seen so far. That's not what my videos have been about. Not at all. It's definitely reasonable to take a wait and see approach, as even amongst all the praise, I've seen several criticisms coming from creators that have gotten early hands-on with the game as well, right? I've seen mention of issues surrounding the art style not being to many folks' liking, lip sync and facial expression issues like I mentioned before that bothers me myself, and more. Like, I see people talking about the Qunari all the time, and even I'll admit I'm not the biggest fan of how majority of the ones I've seen in Veilguard look either. I've only been trying to say that it feels unfair to point to those things and outright call the game bad as a result when we don't have it as a full package to judge for ourselves yet, having only seen preview builds so far and, you know, just some snippets of what's going to be the full game. I even said that I can't call it a good game just yet, just one that looks good so far and one that I'm excited for, while encouraging other members of the community that are on the more positive side of things to be wary of being overly positive as well, to the point where they shut down any and all critiques of the game without first hearing them out. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a result, I feel like being undecided is a perfectly fine place to be for a game this long in the making that's so important to so many of us. BioWare did not start off with the strongest first impression. I'll be the first to tell you that. They really didn't, given that initial trailer reveal for Veilguard, right? I was more on the skeptical side myself back then, so I can't blame you for still being there. Check out some reviews from outlets or creators that you trust, and even if something is still tugging at you, even after checking out both positive and negative reviews, just, hey, check it out for yourself. There have been plenty of games, movies, and other media that I've looked at reviews for, which may have spoken on said media negatively, telling me and the rest of their audience, right, that it wasn't worth the time or the money. And yet, if I have the resources to, I've decided to give it a try myself. And while not always, this doesn't always happen, there's still been plenty of times where I end up actually liking it in spite of the negative reviews. Venom, the movie, is the first thing that comes to mind. I loved that movie, but the critics were not kind to it, not even a little bit, right? And the opposite has also happened too, actually. I've played games with positive reviews from sources that I watch, only to end up going, what were they talking about? I didn't enjoy this game at all. I didn't like it whatsoever. So deciding for yourself is always important, and being undecided in the face of one side of the fan base being so insanely hyped for Veilguard, while the other is just foaming at the mouth at the slightest bit of positivity surrounding the game and just attacking anyone as a result, it makes a lot of sense to me to just say, I'm gonna be in this undecided camp. That's cool. You're being patient, watch it from the sidelines, and just take your things slow. That's completely cool. That's fine. You do you. And hey, maybe you end up really enjoying the game. But if not, and you end up disliking it and overall having negative opinions on it after playing it, at least you could say you were fair and gave it a shot, right? Unlike some people in this next group of individuals I'm about to address. And lastly, to the people that are just kind of negative of the game and have been vocal about not liking it, as well as my overly negative, just bitter peeps that get straight up vile and hateful in online discussion. By the way, if you simply don't like the game, that second group doesn't include you, by the way. Wear the shoe, only if it fits, right? I gotta say, is it not possible that those who consider the game good after getting to play it actually just find it to be so? That BioWare has spent the last 10 years refining what they want Dragon Age to be, and just maybe, they might have pulled it off, even if it isn't what you wanted Dragon Age to be. Now, I said I'd be addressing two kind of separate groups in this one section. So I'll say that if you're someone who's been overall level-headed and kind to others while simply stating that the game isn't for you, that you don't like it, that's fine. I might be a bit bummed that you could be potentially missing out on what might just end up being a phenomenal RPG in my and many others' opinion. Might be a little bit bummed about that, but hey, it is what it is, right? Nobody is saying you gotta like the game. Nobody's saying you have to like it. But if those reasons for the dislike seem to be based on misremembered info or nostalgia blindness, that's when I get to trying to debunk stuff, Like, let's be real. I did an over 30-minute deep dive talking about this. While the gameplay and art style has changed from game to game, at its core, what's been special about Dragon Age is still there. Plenty of dark and gritty moments, as well as themes to be explored, phenomenal story, choice and consequence of plenty, and interesting / enticing characters, all at the core of these games, each of them with seemingly Veilguard learning from the mistakes of each entry and trying to improve upon them, while strengthening some of what the others did right as well, making the combat actually fun gameplay wise for one, as it really wasn't in Origins, with many hardcore fans of that first game agreeing as well. It's important to point out for said combat, what we've seen of Veilguard so far suggests that even with this new combat system, there's still plenty of expression and twist to be had when it comes to building your character just how you'd like, just like a proper RPG should have, you know what I'm saying? From DA2, since that game was a bit linear and restricted in terms of exploration, they open up the world a bit for Veilguard, as they did in Inquisition. Speaking of Inquisition, they might have opened up the world a bit too much in that game, right? Well, I mean, maybe not too much. Like, the explorable areas in Inquisition were fine. It's just that some of the side content to do there was lackluster, a point that the devs have repeatedly said and preview players have confirmed isn't the case for side content in the explorable areas here in Veilguard, with it pointing back story-wise to main plot, faction plot, or companion plot points. Bunch of the side content, or I think some may have said all the side content does that per the preview videos, right? As the series has gone on and not only gaming but also RPGs have become more popular, the sequels have resonated with a large audience, with Veilguard seemingly following suit on what caused these newer games to resonate with players, while at the same time learning from some of their more recent failures, and then taking it a step further, mixing a little bit of everything BioWare from previous DA games, and even a little dash of Mass Effect into this new title, as many that have gotten to play the game early put it. But in the face of all that, if aspects such as you not being able to vibe with the art style, your favorite specialization not making it into this game, like Blood Mage, right? Or maybe you don't like the new enemy designs. If any of that results in you having an overall negative impression of the game or things like that, leading to it feeling like this game isn't for you, that's cool. That's fine. I only ask that you continue to be level-headed and not ruin the excitement and fun for others that are enjoying what we've seen. And I hope that in spite of all the aspects that happen not to be to your liking, that you do actually get a chance to give Veilguard a try and hopefully end up enjoying it overall. If not, hey, at least you gave it a shot to form your own opinion, which is what I myself plan to do. Regardless of how many negative or even positive reviews this ends up with at launch, I'm going to make my own opinion on it. Now, I got to talk to those on the real negative side of things. Those hateful people, right? Those spiteful people, right? People on the real negative side of things that haven't been level-headed and kind to others in the discourse. On the contrary, some of y'all don't know how to act at all. Just so full of hate and misery. Like, for what? Like, instead of blaming everything you disagree with on shilling, which, I mean, has to get tiring at some point. You ain't tired of being so negative all the time. Your spirit ain't heavy, you know? Maybe this game has a shot at greatness. I didn't play it myself, so I only got the pre-release media that BioWare and others have released to go off of. But I'm at least willing to let the game come out so I can see it for myself. Why can't you? I can tell you with confidence that yelling and frothing at the mouth whenever there's a shred of positivity on this game somewhere on the internet isn't a good look, man. It's just sad. It's pathetic. Some people rush to bash this newest game so much that I see takes centered around info that is heavily blinded by nostalgia or just outright misremembered or flat out wrong. Actually, it seems like some of them haven't even played Dragon Age at all. Based on the comments I've seen, it might just be jumping on the hate train simply for misery's sake. These are the type of people that some of those aspects that I talked about leading to them disliking the game center around just the most asinine things, talking about like, oh, the diversity or just outright hate for certain groups of people. It's ridiculous, right? People that are just trying to exist and get their representation. Someone in a comment on one of my TikToks about a topic similar to this really put it best, and I'm going to paraphrase what that comment said. The Origins nostalgia is so blinding. After replaying Origins multiple times in the last 10 years, I've never seen whatever game this group of the fan base is talking about. And I agree, not paraphrasing anymore, I agree with that sentiment heavily. The way the first game in the series is described by some is honestly wild to me. I implore you to replay through the entire trilogy of Dragon Age games again if you haven't recently. I'm talking back to back, no mods. Like, Origins is not this shining pillar of a game that's infallible. No, it has just as many problems as the other two entries in the series. Don't cling so tightly to the past, y'all. You're gonna miss out, I'm telling you. Oh, and if you resort to being hateful to others, you're a coward. I don't have any other way to put it. You're simply a coward. If none of what I've said has resonated with any of you in the negative side of the camp, then hey, I tried. I'm not gonna waste my time and energy anymore trying to convince y'all to give this newest entry in this series a shot. Some of you have already decided without playing it that you'll hate this game no matter what, and that's just sad and not indicative of what I'd consider a true lover of RPGs, let alone video games. The folks that are on the fence and just overall reasonable / open to civil discussion, and those that are hyped for this game alongside me, I'll keep making content for them. You stay bitter, and we will get to enjoying what looks like so far to be a pretty dope RPG. So for those of you that are disgruntled and grumpy to the point where you insist on being as negative as humanly possible for a game you haven't even played yet, for those that are actively causing grief and spewing hate and discussions online surrounding this game that a lot of people are genuinely getting joy out of and excited for, everyone's catching on. We know what you're doing. Like, they know you're doing it just to get a reaction out of them, or because you yourself are miserable, and you just continue to get blocked and ignored until eventually you're just arguing with yourself, facing the wall, or surrounded by other equally negative people that can't seem to enjoy anything new, which sounds incredibly sad. So have fun, I guess. For people that are negative towards this game but are respectful about it when discussing it, again, I hope that Veilguard turns out to be something you could enjoy when given a chance. And that's gonna do it for this discussion message thing that I've come up with, y'all. I hope you've enjoyed it as I tried to address what I feel like were the major camps of the community regarding Veilguard. Again, not major inside, like I said, that negative side is kind of just small and loud, but just the focus points, right? I've been really excited for this game recently, and as I've browsed certain comment sections of posts or discussions online, I can feel as if some of that excitement and joy was being stolen from me, or at least attempted to be stolen, right? As I've seen ridiculous take after ridiculous take, all the way up to just outright hate towards so many different groups of people who are just existing and want good representation. It was kind of disgusting as well as sad to see. It's what prompted me to make this video, as I'm honestly done letting these people even try to sour my fun. I choose happiness, okay? I'm gonna be happy and make sure that I'm happy. And I wanted to hopefully inspire others in the community as well that may have been experiencing, seeing, or feeling some of the same things. Our experience is gonna be what we make of it, and I want to cultivate at least a slice of the community into one that suits reason, civility, and overall just a celebration of great games and awesome stories to be told. Sadly, some of what I see online hasn't aligned with that, so I've resorted to calling it out here, emboldening my fellow community members / fans, as well as the healthy skeptics out there, and just blocking and ignoring anyone else. So far, I've been loving the peace and good vibes. I couldn't recommend it enough. As always, for those that aren't necessarily sold on Dragon Age the Veilguard and want to discuss it, discuss what they think of the game so far, I welcome civil discussion in the comments below, and I'd love to exchange thoughts, even if it's as simple as, wow, it's crazy that you feel negative about this aspect right here of the game, as it's something that I personally feel positively about for X, Y, Z reasons. It's wild how we can be so different, just that kind of talk, right? And of course, I'm down to talk hype and excitement alongside those like myself that have come around and are completely looking forward to Veilguard now. As always, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Thank you for watching. Be easy.